Whoa.
Hey, excellent. G'day everyone. Dax here from Hera Property. I hope you're doing well if you're in Melbourne, COVID 2.0, and we're right in the middle of it. So today I've got an extra special guest on, Simone Chin. She is been in real estate for over 10 years. She's the only female auctioneer, we'll get into that, in Bayside, which is just amazing what she can do. Also, she's quite independent working across the Bayside area, and she's had a great history. And so Simone and I connected a couple of months ago, and I saw her present in front of a network of people. She had this amazing energy, and I just needed to meet her after that. And I now know why. As you know, I'm socially, environmentally conscious, and she's got an amazing conscious social drive to herself. So thank you, Simone, for joining us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Very excited.
Oh, good. Excellent. So we were just talking before about how stressed people are, compared to in 2.0, COVID 2.0 to 1. It's terrible, isn't it?
Well, I feel for people. I think, I have to say personally too, that, we were mentioning that March to May, we felt it was, everyone had gone a bit zen. Everyone was looking at the silver linings of the pause and, the reconnect with family and priority. I have to say COVID too has a real edge to it. People are feeling anxious. Is it ever going to end? What is the new normal? Yeah. Why are we here again?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, just walking down the street, I find one interesting thing is that, the Melbourne's really adopted well to the different types of masks though. The upside of it is we are the fashion capital. Yeah. Look at that. That's awesome. I love it.
I actually was saying to a client this morning, I almost feel like I should go full burqa and have like a billboard saying, if you need to sell your house, call me. And then everyone will know, oh, that's the real estate agent. She's like in full dress garb.
I love it. Yeah. So I think Melbourne's really, turned it around. We are the fashion capital, and I've seen some amazing ones out. Really, really impressive.
Yeah. I think that, it's the gangster fashion. We all love our black in Melbourne. So I reckon, someone needs to do something with a black balaclava and then maybe a spring carnival hat on top or flowers or something like that. Yeah.
I love it. That's great. And I think one of the interesting things I've found with it is the intimacy, because all you're seeing now is eyes. And I find that very intriguing. And I love, people say that they're the windows of the soul. And I guess, with you working with a lot of clients like I do, we meet them face to face. And it's interesting that that's all you see, isn't it?
Look, it's a good discipline as a salesperson. I think, doing a lot of phone calls throughout the day, I always try and take a pause and like, okay, put the smile on the face so that the smile's in the voice. And even more so, I think when we're greeting each other, when we're talking to each other, a little bit of energy and a smile on your face will come over, even with the mask.
Yes. Yeah. It's your whole persona goes through the phone in face-to-faces as well. Yeah. I love that. So Simone, would you take us back? I'd love you to take us a little bit back. You've done some really interesting stuff, and you mentioned classical ballet and Hollywood. What a combination! Do you want to take us back to either of those?
Well, I was very lucky as a young girl. I had a mother that took me to a fantastic ballet school in Melbourne. So from the age of 6, I fell in love with the enchantment of dance and music and so that became my discipline very much throughout my early years. And from the age of 9, I was probably working professionally, doing all the Australian ballet seasons in Melbourne when they needed children or rats or mice or whatever they needed. And I was also a Channel 9 dancer. So I used to be on Hey Hey It's Saturday and the John Main Show. Yeah. So I used to dance with Toe Tapping Tom and Humphrey Bear. And then I went to London at 16 to Royal Ballet and trained there, and then danced in Germany and London for another 11 years. Came back to Australia and became Fred Skepsi's assistant, who is, Fred Skepsi is an amazing Australian producer, director, writer. Has done some amazing Australian films as well as Hollywood films. And so I worked with him for many years out of Hollywood and, you know, traveling around the world. So that was an awesome way to grow up. Highly recommended.
Yes. Oh, the arts and the creativities that you know, that's abound, isn't it? It's being in flow. And I guess you know, in that space, you in flow all the time, aren't you?
You are. Look, there's some fabulous stories. You know, I remember going to dinner parties and, you know, Australian girl, you would say, oh, what do you do? And someone said, oh, yes, I'm a writer, and, you know, I've just written a book. And I've gone, oh, how's that gone? I said, well, quite well. I won a Pulitzer Prize. So that's good, good training for any salesperson. I don't ask those questions now.
But I guess that whole, you know, performing and being in flow with you know, your intuition and stuff like that, you know, you've started, you know, you started into real estate about 10 years ago.
Correct.
Right. So what made you do that transition? And I can see some alignments, like especially the auctioneer. I guess you love to get out, you know, to do that, and that's fantastic. But what made you move into real estate from there?
Look, it was one of those things where I was in transition from having made some movies with my husband and being the administrator at the Malthouse Theatre, and looking for my next sort of, you know, job, or what I was going to do, how I was going to earn money. And look, my brother-in-law actually just said, well, why don't you try real estate? He was trying to be a salesperson. It didn't work for him, but I loved it because it was very much about bringing all the skills together and learning more about business and negotiation and communication and the psychology of sales, which is very fascinating. And I've just loved it. It's been a great career for me because it requires discipline and energy, and that's something that I've been trained all my life for.
Yes, yeah. I felt that energy when I saw you present at the networking meeting, which is great. I love that. And I haven't seen any of your auctions, but I guess, yeah, that would be a key and a key skill. You must be quite. What do you think about being the only female auctioneer in Bayside? It's amazing.
Well, I hope it encourages more female auctioneers to come forward. The real reason for me is, you know, comes from a strong feminist background, but, you know, you prepare the campaigns, you do all the work as the agent, as the person who is the communicator with the buyers and the vendor. And then on the Saturday morning of the auction, you know, normally there's, you know, the director or someone rolls up in a lovely car and does the thunder and lightning, and everyone thinks, oh, they've sold the property. And, you know, as the one who's doing all the work, it really got my nose out of joint after a while. And I thought, well, I've got to step up. And what I've learned over my long life is that if you feel really sick in the gut about something, that's where you have to move out of your comfort zone, and that's what you have to do. So now when I get that sick feeling, I actually run towards it.
Yeah.
Just not always pleasant, but that's definitely a trigger for me. It's like, you've just got to keep moving forward and upward.
Yeah, that you know, some people call it like the gut brain. You know, people think that, you know, there's a brain just up here, but, you know, there's a brain in the heart and there's a brain in the gut. And that's really key for young people to understand how to tap into that, isn't it? Took me ages. I've only been tapping into it the last couple of years because I'm totally unconscious. But how would you say that, you know, people could, you know, get tuned into more of that? Because that is powerful, isn't it?
It's very powerful. I think, you know, when I can remember back to my childhood, I think, you know, I had magnificent parents who I admired so much. They always taught us to be brave and courageous, but it's much easier to sort of go back into comfort zones and to feel safe and to not really push the envelope too much, because as a young person, you don't quite have the finesse to know when are you being pushy and when are you pushing the envelope for yourself. And I think that, as a young person, we need to allow our young people to make many more mistakes than they do. I think they're always trying to be cool, or they're trying to be this or that or whatever. It's like, you're young, you've got your whole life ahead of you. Make mistakes, go for things, just go for it. And they will be surprised to learn how many older people are around in the community, people they may not know, who are really wishing them well and supporting them. And if they fail, you'll be like, don't worry, next time it'll be better. It's just a process, just live your life.
I love that. And it's that whole, I totally get that whole, it's that bravado, it's the ego that's pretty much, promoted through all the media and stuff, is that, the want instead of the be. You know what I mean? It's like how it's an interesting thing to try and bring the youth around to find out what they really want inside. And I used to say, up until just recently, I don't know what I want to be when I grow up, and that was in my 40s. But now I do, because I looked internally, not externally. And, and that's, I see that you've got that power as well.
Yeah, I think I'm lucky because, well, I think everyone has their own thing as long as you know yourself. And I'm a real doer. So work gives me energy and satisfaction. I'm not great at sitting around. I just like to get moving. And it's, what drives you? What's your energy driver? What makes you feel like you're, getting through to somewhere else? Where do you want to be? I mean, I think, there's a lot about goal setting, and there's a lot about, how to plan your next 5 years or 10 years. And I think that's all great, but a lot of it's like taking the fun out of things too. It's like, what makes you feel passionate? What makes you feel joyful? It's like everyone's got to relax a bit more.
I think you're right there. And I think it's given people an opportunity to do that right now in COVID, to find out what their passion. I've seen more parents out on Beach Road on the bikes and on the tracks between the tea trees and stuff like that. And it's beautiful because people,
families, not on the phones. Yeah, it's awesome.
Isn't it? It's just like this whole change, and people are figuring out, we can work from home and things like that. We've got a lot more requests for studies in houses and apartments and stuff like that. Does it have a study? Because they need that these days. And just being able to pause and find out what your passion, what's my passion? I think that's really powerful. So tell me, like, you started real estate agent quite late in your life. So what advice would you give for people like what you were, 10 years ago, not knowing anything about real estate and coming from a completely different background to, diving into something like where you're at now?
I think there's always an opportunity for people to go into new disciplines and learn new careers. I think for me, I have to say the easiest thing about the transition was that I have a deep sense of service, which really drives me. So in terms of learning, yes, you can learn sales, you can learn the business of sales, the operation of a business and negotiation. But if you're coming from a place of service, it's a very good way to start, because you're always keeping only your client's interests at heart and in your mind. And that way it drives the deal forward. When you get more experienced, it drives the deal perhaps more smoothly and to a higher result. So as experience is a great thing to have in a salesperson, but if you have a salesperson who comes from a place of service, that's a good place to start choosing someone, I think.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I like that. And that whole service, I mean, that's where we delved into when we were chatting last time around, we plant 100 trees for every tenant and landlord. We use thank you products, and you went into what you're helping with women as well.
Yes, I want to leave a legacy. So it struck me that, look, we're very privileged being in this job. It's a great job. There's a lot of satisfaction. And I know that people think we earn enormous fees, but, you know, I'm at great pains to let people know that we work many, many hours to get a deal together. And, we're probably on $10 an hour. So it's great. But I think it would be awesome, if I sell a house, and I'm privileged to work in the Bayside area of Melbourne, which is, a very nice place to be. So every transaction that I make, I am going to apportion to a social impact. So either an Australian social impact or an overseas one that is about trying to overcome global poverty. And that way I can help other women around the world, or in Australia, girls and women. And I think that's a great way to make it really symmetrical between my fee and what I can do for everyone else.
Yeah, that's great. And people harmonize with that. They understand, it's not all, it's a win-win, not only for the vendor and ourselves, but also, the rest of the world. And I love that. I think it just even feels good doing it.
I think it makes sense. I think it's logical that if business can be created to also provide care to its community, I think that's a great way to go. We're already used to tax. Just put another sort of edge on it. We don't need that much money. Mm-mm. That's a terrible thing to say on a business program. You're going to go like, what? Oh my God.
Yeah, no, that's good. I mean, and it's that giver's gain, isn't it? You give more and it comes back. I see money flowing in and flowing out. We did some advertising through a brochure where all the profits goes to, the Lost Boys Home and stuff like that. We got a few leads from that. And It's great because those people harmonize with our businesses as well.
Yeah.
Because they go, oh, they're doing good. I do good. I want to work with them.
Yeah.
And I love that whole community thing.
Yeah, I was really inspired. I think I spoke to you before, Dax, about the Tom's shoes story. I was so inspired by that. It's been in business for 10 years. And that was a one-for-one business where each pair of shoes they sold, they were going to give a pair of shoes to someone who couldn't afford shoes.
Yes.
And in 10 years, they've given away 61 million pairs of shoes. I just thought that was exactly what I want to do. That's something big legacy.
Yes, I love it. Maybe we should talk offline about homeless housing or, something like that,
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Some of those things are really helpful and we, building stuff that doesn't cost them much in energy and expenses and stuff like that. So they're not burdened by that. Here's a house, but you've got high energy bills and stuff like that. No.
Yeah, of course. That's like the tiny house movement, which I find very fascinating, but it doesn't take into account that you need some land. So these people who've got tiny homes can't afford land.
Exactly. Yes. So I love that. So, and Simone, what, if a female or for women's empowerment, it sounds like, having the confidence, having the drive to come into real estate, it's a real key. Would there be any other experts that you would say that people could, talk to or follow that you are inspired about? Because, you're amazing. And I'd say that anyone who wants to get into real estate and auctioneering should follow Simone. I mean, you've got a YouTube channel and stuff like that, but is there anyone else that you go, oh, that's somebody else that, they should reach out to as well?
Look, I think that a lot of it's to do with what you can bring to the table as to your clients, as a salesperson, as an agent, as a representative. People are looking for someone who's really going to be able to cover more bases than just that very skinny tangent of the house sale or the property sale. So as you know, I'm a great B&I person. I think if you have expert people around you, I don't think, as a real estate agent, you can't give financial advice. You can't say to people, option A, B, or C. But if you've got some really terrific people that sort of work and communicate in a fellow traveler fashion, that's a very good way to bring value to your clients, because your clients buy you, and then they meet other people that can assist them with their journey and their process, that are also going to add expertise to that situation. So
Nice.
I think that's a good place to start. Surround yourself with experts. Don't become the expert in all these different fields. Find those experts, collaborate, and create a really strong team.
Excellent. I love that, Simone. Now, where do you see yourself going with all this? I mean, you're amazing, only woman in Bayside auctioneer, one of the top real estate agents in the area, selling amazing properties. What next for you?
Well, I suppose the first thing is to overcome the perception of professionals in my industry. That is a bugbear. There are so many great real estate agents out there, but we really do get tarred with a brush. So that would be, a good thing.
Yes,
I think
please.
that I love the idea of the global neighborhood. We've got now through Zoom, everyone's so at ease with it now. Really, LinkedIn's such a great program, isn't it? We meet other professionals, B&I, but now we can actually really meet fellow travelers around the world. And I think the more global we become, the better everyone is going to feel about what's happening with the planet and the economy and everything else that's going on in our world now. So it's a bigger picture than our localized communities.
Yeah, and it's funny how it took us to be locked in our houses to be more connected. So it's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's sort of funny, those mantras that we used to have in the 70s, all is one, and the planet, that we're all sisters, that we're all cousins. I mean, it actually is a very profound idea, but actually it's more accessible to us now too.
Yeah. Where did all that go? I mean, we got really stuck in consumerism, didn't we?
Yeah, I think business as in making money be all end all. It's great if it can change, and if it one at a time, like your business, Hera Property, my business, and if we can just keep that ball rolling and get more people feeling socially active, that would be so wonderful.
Yes, that's one of my missions. I love it. So Simone, thank you for coming on Wise Up Wednesday. I have two questions that I usually end with. One is, what is something that not many people know about you?
Oh dear, I'm an open book. What can I say? There's absolutely nothing that anyone knows about me. Oh, I know, I can know one thing.
Yep.
Many people don't know that I left school at 14.
Oh, that's fantastic. That's really good. And it's such a great message for, women that want to achieve, and get where you are. So fantastic. Hats off to you. And also the last one is, how do people contact you? What's the best way, other than through my channels? Well, yeah. How do they contact you?
They can pick up the phone and call me. I'm 24/7. So if someone has a question for me any time of day or night, I'll answer my telephone.
Beautiful. Excellent. Well, thank you, Simone. It's been fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Have a super week. Bye, everyone.
Stay online.